Okay. So we can't. Well, I think I'll take this off when I'm talking, as we are all far away. I can't really start until Yuji is here. He's always sitting right here, right? So, what are we gonna do without him? So, I think people will be online as well, and they're maybe also waiting at the computer. So I'll start. Welcome everybody, and yeah, I don't want to play too much because most of you already heard me play a lot, or not so much, but so I'll play a little bit, but I like to play. What I'm gonna play is like I want to play really minimal, so you can really hear the bass well, and so I thought to just play with Steve on the snare, and the brushes, and stage. Use the stage as a bass drum. Can you tap the bass drum? Right. So hopefully. We don't need much to make music. Actually, I liked very much what Joey Barron said last week. I don't know who was there or who heard him say that, but he said like, you know, you don't have to force to make music, but let the music come to you. The music will just relax. The music will come to you. I thought it was very, very wise. You have to yeah. Forget what you did in the practice room. And let the music come to you. So I'm a little off concentration because I just got a message that my son, who's now 11 years old, just broke his finger about an hour ago, and at school, and the finger was like angled. So they had to give him an injection for the pain and then put it back. Yeah. So I already talked to him before they did that, but not yet afterwards. But I guess I'll talk to him tonight. Luckily, he's not a professional musician yet. He's 11. But anyway. So there's two things that I want to talk about. Basically, the first thing is, actually the first thing is not really talking, but just want to play for you a little bit and show you my approach to music, sort of. And the second thing is that I just made a lesson video, a masterclass video, sort of, about communication in harmony, and how I use different bass notes and stuff to communicate with the rest of the band. And for that, of course, we need harmony. So I asked Charlie Mooney, our master guitar student, to play a little bit with me later, to show you about that. But first, I'll play a little bit with Steve. So, enjoy. Anybody knows what tune this is? You don't know the tune? Yeah. Old Folks, yeah. Old Folks. You can check it. It's in your real books, YouTube, everywhere. It's on every standard list that you ever got from school. So, great lyrics too for the vocalist. So, Old Folks. Usually played in a key of F, as we also played it in F. And it's actually mostly played as a ballad. Most people do it like that. So we decided to give it like a bossa nova feel. It's actually been played a lot as a bossa nova too. Yeah. These days. But it's a very common standard. Could you hear the form? Anybody knows the form? Except you, of course. You know it. You seem to know it already. What's the form? Okay, so I think it's really good if when you listen, like if the way you listen to music is very important. If you actually, and not only just like passively listen and just enjoy the music, which is cool too, but another way of listening is like, you listen and at the same time you realize like, oh, what's going on here? Like, oh, it goes to the relative minor, oh, it goes to there's where the bridge starts. Oh, the bridge starts goes to the 4 chord or something, or so that's really helpful if you get trained to listen that way. It actually, you learn a lot quicker about music, and it's also a little bit deeper to get deeper into the music. I think it's less. It's not that you listen more technically. I mean, you do listen more technically, but that's not the goal. I think the goal is to you can enjoy it better if you get a little deeper into it. So, still nobody has the form, but you looked it up maybe on your phone, but then that's fine too. Anybody? AABA. Yeah, we did 2 courses. Maybe we did 2. Yeah, I think we did play 2 courses, but it's AABA. Yeah, that's right. And any other information that you heard, like the bridge started in what key, where does it go? No. Okay. So. Well, later on we'll talk more about harmony, but I was wondering if just from the bass, if you can hear the chord changes, just because I played the melody and the chord changes both, sort of like a guitar player style maybe, where you play the melody but you also hear where the chords go. So I'll try to do that. I'll try to do that also in the next tune. So now you know what I'm asking for, so see if you can, while we play, if you can hear where we're going and what the form is and all that stuff. Okay, so obviously, anybody know the title, maybe? When Will the Blues Leave? Ornette Coleman. Ornette Coleman. So, as I want to talk about a little bit about what we just did. Even you don't have questions maybe yet, but I have questions. Because I think that playing this duo like this requires pretty much everything in that the same thing that you do when you play with a whole band. You know, you feel responsible for the tune and to make it keep it interesting. So we make decisions about, do we trade, do we do a drum solo, when do you play the melody, drum intro, all kinds of on the spot arrangements. How long should the solo be? How many times do you play the melody? Those are all things that, you know, there's no difference between just snare and bass or full band or orchestra. So, and then another thing maybe you didn't notice, or maybe you did notice, like we kind of played over the form where we didn't really play the one anymore, but we still knew where we were, right? So we played, it's okay. We played a lot of chromatic. I played a lot of chromatic things, kind of almost out of time, but the pulse was always going on, you know. So no matter how many musicians are on stage, it's still the same. Even if you're by yourself, by yourself you can kind of fake it maybe, but it's better if you know what you're doing. So. How about one more? Can we do one more? You like it? Okay. If you don't like it, just tell me then. Oh, this is maybe a good, not for a joke, but kind of a joke actually. Yeah, because of Corona time, like everybody else, my life completely changed. And I didn't have gigs, just like everybody. And luckily, well, not luckily, but terrible situation is that the BIM house in Amsterdam, the jazz club, that was closed. And so they were like, well, our building is closed, but you can use it if you want to just rehearse here or record something. So I got together with a trio and we decided to record something in the BIM house. And one of the tunes is, what we did is this tune we just played, When Will the Blues Leave? And it got released, and normally the economic situation is that, you know, you release a record and you sell it on the gigs and that's how you make money. But now there's no gigs, so we were like, well, should we not release it? But they released it, and the saxophone player's record company got us a big hit from it on Spotify. So we got, this tune got 60,000 or 67,000 streams. But no, we each made like a couple €1,000, because one of the other hits got half a million hits. 500,000 streams so far, and still going up. Like,
I thought if you have like 1 million streams, you make like $1.
no, 1 million streams is $4,000, €4,000. Yeah, but then you have to divide it with the record company and how big your band is, or whoever has the rights. So it's an interesting thing to maybe. You know, maybe this is a time where you cannot perform. Maybe it's a good time to do something else. Like I made a lesson video. I had this idea for 4 years or so, and never had time to do it. Now I finally finished my lesson video. Yes. The musicians on that album? It's John Engels. He's a Dutch drummer who's 85 years old. And Benjamin Herman, he's a alto saxophone player, Dutch guy also.
And this money to the streams, this is a monthly thing. This is a one.
The monthly, the streams, they pay every 3 months.
Wow.
So we didn't get any money yet because it got released February 28th or so. How many? That's almost 3 months, yeah, so maybe next month. When you see me on Facebook with a bottle of champagne, then it means like I got my first paycheck. But of course, you know, that's I never knew about all that stuff. Now with Corona time, I had a little time to get into it a little bit, and it seems like if you get in a playlist, like there's one playlist, coffee jazz, or so, coffee table. You know about Spotify, right? Coffee jazz, I think. Well, we got one tune. We got into 6 different playlists, and then it went up like crazy. So, and it was not even. I don't think we played that great, but but it's just lucky that it, you know, people liked it and put it in the playlist, and then, you know, people just turn on Spotify and go and, you know, do the dishes. They don't care what's playing, but they play us, and we make 0.006 cents each time. I think something like crazy little money, but it adds up after 500,000.
Do you have any influence on playlists, or was it just a random?
I didn't have any influence on the playlist because I wasn't involved, but the record company had a guy who, that's his job all day long. He's like, and he actually went to, I never knew that either. He went to Spotify, and they actually have like a whole floor in an industrial area with all people sitting behind their computers and listening to music all day and deciding like, okay, this tune is going to be in the playlist from like, you know, I never knew that is how it works. So I thought maybe you can bring them some presents, some cookies, and they put you. No, I don't think they really do think about. Of course, they want people to keep subscribing to their playlists, so they take it seriously. But and that's kind of the whole new way of like, since you don't have gigs, you cannot sell CDs. I mean, you sell a few CDs online, but not really. You know, with that actually that record that got released end of February, we sold like 35 copies online. But then that doesn't make, you don't make much money from that. But from the Spotify, we made a lot of money. Anyway, let's go back to music, which is much more interesting to me. But, you know, to know a little bit more about business is also good, I think. You know, I was never really into it so much, but every once in a while, I take time to get into it. So I hope everybody knows this tune, right? Everybody knows the form. How many times did we play the interlude? 2 times? Right. Okay. So Dizzy Gillespie, Night in Tunisia. Great. Well, I don't know if I can play that without. I mean, I need to check out the melody then. But you know, any drummers and bass players, if you're here, check it out. Try that sometimes. Play a duet. It's really cool. It's really it makes you really strong because you have to really know what everything is there. Every little note is, you hear it. Has to be right in place. Okay. And you have to know the tunes really well and how the harmony and the melody fall together and the form, everything basically.
This tune, or maybe you should say tonight, because this tune. I mean, I was going to say on this tune in particular, although it's not about this tune in particular because you can do anything on any tune, but on this tune, you've got the interlude, like interlude, like that vibe, and then you've got the melody, and then you've got this tag. When are you going to do what? Well, I don't know. It could be that you play the tag between choruses. Could be that you never play the tag. Could be that you end on the tag. Could be that you don't end on the tag. Could be that you play the interlude or like the intro bass line vibe between A sections. Like Joris after I forget, we did a chorus of soloing, and then he did that. I wasn't sure he wasn't in the A section. And then when he came in with the A, I wasn't sure after the end of that if he was going to the bridge or not, because he played 8 bars of doo-ba-doo-ba-ba-ba-doo-ba-doo. And I thought, okay, that could have been through the A section. And I just went for the bridge because I changed the swing, and he might have gone like, oh, okay, or he might have heard that that's where he was also. It's how quickly you react on the fly to going, okay, oh, yeah, cool. And that's what happens.
Yeah, there's also the shout chorus. That I played that too. So, it's like, but there's no horns, so what? You can play it on the bass. It doesn't matter. You can sing it. That's also cool. But I don't want to bother you with my singing. But yeah. But anyway, we figured it out, and actually, that's kind of a shout into the drums, right? You often take a thumbs to the bridge after that, So.
That's cliche. You can do cliche, but you don't want to. You can do cliche to do the shout chorus, and then the drums take the bridge, like A, B, A. Shout chorus A, shout chorus B, drums take the bridge, shout chorus A, drum solo. How many recordings are there of that? About 1 million. That's cliche, and it's good, and you can do it, but you don't have to do it. And you shouldn't let yourself think you're good because you're doing what's on a bunch of records.
Anyway, this all comes from a lot of experience and doing it many times. So, which brings me to the thing that, when I was in the conservatory, I grew up here, not like the other Americans who come here. They grew up in America and they come here to Europe to visit or something. I grew up here, and when I was in school, there was not so many bass players, like, I think similar like here. So I got a lot of playing done with a lot of eindexams, a lot of, you know, many people asked me to play. So I got a lot of mileage as a player. And so I played maybe night in Tunisia, you know, 10 times a year for 6 years where I was in school. At that time it was still 6 years. Actually it was 5 years, but I did an extra year because I started on electric bass. I did both. And then I did, after that I went to New York. I did a lot of gigs. So I played a night in Tunisia, another, I mean, I don't know how many 100 times I played it already. So then it's easier to, you know, all the parts of the tunes. You've played it already so many times in big band or in small groups, in trio, in duo with guitar players. Never, I did it only with drums, and we didn't rehearse it, so it's good maybe. Yeah, we used to jam at my house sometimes. Maybe we did this tune as well. I don't remember. But what I'm hoping for, to inspire you for, is to play more, because I hear from students that I talk to, you know, now with the Corona time, I'm here like every Monday and I speak to a lot of students. I hear from students like, we don't play that much. So I don't know if there's any way you can get more playing in. And I know maybe there's not all the rooms are available or at the times you want, or you have to get up early. I know Steve here, he gets up he's here at 8 in the morning practicing already sometimes. So it can be done, but it's not ideal, of course, at 8 in the morning. But if there's any way you can get more mileage, because playing, a lot of playing, that's the only medicine, really, the only way to get it. Unless you're like super talented and everything comes to you like that without, just practice a little bit and you can do it. There's people like that too, but I was not like that. I just had to sweat my way through it and learn all these tunes, and there's tons of gigs and rehearsals and blah, blah, blah. And finally, you know, this is what I got so far. So it's okay, it kind of works okay out, but and still, you know, I'm practicing a lot, still doing gigs as much as I can, even if it doesn't pay much, okay, I'll do it, you know. I just want to play. And I need to keep the routine. It's like soccer players. They don't play enough games, they lose it. Anyway, the second part of this class, I said in the beginning, I want to talk a little bit more about how do you communicate harmonically, not with harmony, not per se with rhythm. So I invited Charlie to play with me on the guitar. So you can hear chords, and you can hear what I do with the bass, what I do to it, to the chords, and how that influences the sound of what he plays on the chords. So for example, if it's an F chord and I play an F, it sounds normal. But if I play a D under an F chord, it sounds like a D minor. No matter how much he tries to make it sound like an F, if the bass player plays a D, it's like hopeless. It's always going to sound like a D minor. So that's why I like to play bass, because you got a lot of power as a bass player. You can decide, it's like, no, this is going to be D minor, sorry. You play a D in a bass, and that's it. So, yeah, bass players. I see a couple here, so that's good. Charlie, let's play. The tune we're going to play, I'm going to put it on the screen, because you know, you never know if maybe you never know it if you. I don't know if you know the tune, so it's not about knowing the tune. It's about understanding what I want to talk about. Now, I heard from Frederick it takes. Oh, it's already there. Yeah. My Shining Hour? Do you guys see it at home? Otherwise, you can look it up, My Shining Hour, in C. We played in C. Does anybody know the key that Coltrane plays, My Shining Hour? In C also? C, okay. Some people play it in E flat. Thank you, Steve. Steve Altenberg. Yeah. Great. We'll play the tune just like we do a little gig, and then after that I want to break it down and talk to you about different things that I want to talk about not just about bass, but just about harmony and how to deal with harmony. So it should be for any instrument. So I'll use the mic for people at home. My shining hour. Oh, first of all, give a big hand to Charlie, please. Charlie Mooney. Actually, this is part of his lesson, his mentor lesson, to get to play more. And you know, I can tell everybody, play as much as you can. So any situation, even in a masterclass, it's another opportunity to play. So anyway, what I want to talk about a little bit, now that I have you all here and you all see the tune, I don't know what you did, but somehow it stays up there now. So I like to discuss a little bit of how we can communicate with each other, how we did communicate already during this performance, but also how you can break it down. So for example, so this is where theory and playing comes together, and you need your theory really to be a better player. It's not just a separate thing to do a theory course and then play. For example, sometimes the first chord I can play F sharp in the bass, which and kind of implicit of a sharp 4 sound. Can you play a C major chord and I'll play F sharp? Oh, you have to go and touch it every once in a while. Yeah. Okay. Sometimes I'll go like, and then maybe resolve it to a chord note, but I use another chord, which, and also sometimes, yeah, you can imply a diminished, C diminished, and then resolve it to C major. Play that again. Yeah, you see, and that is something that is not on the paper, but you just know it because you know your theory and you play it so many times with people and you know that that works. So if the chord is the one chord and it's and the melody is a chord note, even if it's not, I'm not talking about how to arrange it for the melody, but I'm talking about during the solos, or you know how you can do other things. You can throw in a lot of 2/5s and a lot of tritones, and it makes it really different and it makes it exciting. You can use a lot of pedals, as in the bass, for example, but that changes everything for everybody else. But if you're not a bass player, you should recognize, like, hey, there's a bass pedal, so I can play different chords over it, for example. So, for example, we'll play the first 8 bars until we move to the A minor. It's all in C, so let him play the chords and I'll play a pedal. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. See, so it gives kind of, I don't know how to describe it in words, but spooky or something, or like, I don't know, like tension, yeah, tension, and it releases when, and if I play the G an octave higher, it's different. See? So you can do that as a vocalist too. You can sing that G, and you know, it works according to Kurt Weiss in the theory and Leon Menon, your teachers. So just, you know, if you don't believe me, then ask them. They'll say the same thing. So playing around with harmony, that's what I'm doing basically. So there was an example of a pedal that's not just for bass players interesting, but for anybody. And especially when you know there's a big change coming to when we go to A minor. So you can stay on the same thing. You really know the harmonic form. I look at you because you're English native, so sometimes I can't think of the words because I haven't been in New York. Yeah, the harmonic form. So you go to A minor, and then it releases to A minor, the harmony, you know. And let's do it the other way around now. Like I'll play the chords, and then when we get to the A minor, I'll do something like that, and release it again when we go to what they call their letter B. Okay. 1, 2, 3. See? So that you could do, anybody can do that, not just the bass player. Yes?
Now on measure 8, 7 actually, you did D6, right? D minor 6, like we have the minute. Where is the D minor, right? On the measure 7? Or no?
Oh, measure 7, did I play a D minor, is his question.
D minor 6 on the bass.
D minor 6? You mean a F? You mean I played a B?
The B, yeah. We have the minute.
Yeah. Okay, that's another thing. That's a very good question. So, like I said, like what is on this paper? Every real book you look for this tune, it has different chord changes. How is that possible? It's because they're all good. There's not this like. It's just a reference of what we play. If you understand the harmonic structure, the basic idea is like we are all in C for a while, and then we're going to go to A minor. Now, when we make that change, this guy who wrote this chart, he said, okay, let's go in bar 8. We make a 2-5 to A minor. But me, when I was playing, I decided to go in bar 7 to play the 2, and in bar 8 play the 5, and then go to A minor. So that was his question, like, well, what about the D minor there? I was like, well, I played the B half diminished there. It's the same chord anyway, just different bass notes. D minor 6, or the B half diminished. Can you play a D minor 6? Now it sounds like a D minor 6. Play it again. Now it sounds like a B half diminished because I played a B. Yeah, I love playing bass. We are the power, right? We decide what we. So I decide like no. In bar 7 we're gonna make that change to the 2-5 to A minor, not in bar 8. Like this guy wrote bar 8. It's like, so what? I'm the bass player. I decide. So at the same time, I could also decide later to do that, to do it later. Like, I'll do it now in the last 2 beats of bar 8. Let's take it from the top. 1, 2, 1. Right? So that's why I decided to do it there. So why not? Why do you have to play it exactly how it's written? How some guy, you know, the first real books, they were actually designed by a teacher at Berklee College of Music in Boston, and he asked his students, like, hey guys, can you guys just transpose a lot of records from, like, you know, Thelonious Monk and whatever, and just give me the charts for just your homework. So he gave them, and he put it all in the book without even really checking if it's correct. So a lot of real books, you know, there's a lot of mistakes in there because the teacher never bothered, or no, not enough actually. But and then, okay, maybe the student who wrote this decided, okay, let's do the 2/5 in bar 8. It's like, but maybe Coltrane doesn't do that, or you know, or maybe one chorus he'll do it in bar 7 and the next chorus not. You know, you could even stay in key of C for the whole 8 bars and make a sudden harmonic change. Let's do that. 1, 2. I really didn't make a change. It's not so nice, actually. It's actually nicer if there's a little 5 in between before you go to the A minor. Yeah. Okay. Also, you see a lot of times, also on this chart, I see there's chords in parentheses above the chords. Have you ever thought about that, why they do that? Why do they put the A minor in the second bar in parentheses? Parentheses is this, right? For those of you who come from a different... Why do they put it in parentheses? Why do they put the second chord in the A minor, and why not the first chord, C major? Yeah, but everything is optional. You know, the D minor in bar 6, that we just talked about, is clearly optional because I didn't even play it for a while until actually Stavros asked me about it. So, you know, to me, it doesn't make sense to put chords in parentheses. I never do that when I give someone a chart. It's like, what do you want me to do? You want me to play it or not? You know? So I give as little chords as possible. I give them their harmonic structure, and I tell them, like, okay, you know what to do. Which means, like, you know, I played the gig with you, I expect you that you know what's possible in the harmony. So I just expect that you know all your theories. Like, you know, you drive the car, and I sit next to you, I close my eyes because I trust that you're a good driver. You know that when it's a red light, you need to stop, you know, all that kind of, you know, all the rules and all the tricks of driving a car. So if, like, I know, I played with him before, so I was like, this is gonna work out. He knows the rules. So I asked him to play, and he doesn't get confused if, for example, in the turnaround in the end, let's say the last 8 bars. Maybe they take it from B, so you have a better idea where we are, right? So take it from B. Just from the bridge. Just the melody and the chords. Just the melody. Actually, no, just the chords. Just the chords. I mean, you can play the melody kind of in between, but 1, 2, from B, 2, 3, 4. So that went a little weird. Did you hear that? I mean, you guys have good, you must have heard it. So, yeah, right. I did that, and he decided to go a different turn, make a different turn. So, but he heard what I did, as you see. So I did like da 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 da. Is that written there? Well, there's an F written, but I played a B instead of an F, the tritone. And so I'm talking about the last 8 bars, which starts on C major, last 8 bars. So first bar C major, second bar B7, tritone of F, and then B flat, then A. So you get like a nice descending bass. Or actually, you can do the tritone, the D also tritone. So. Yeah. Yeah. You know, bass players also like to go chromatic. We like that, especially down, chromatic down. There's no questions, other questions about this? So, I have a question. How do you know when to do what? That's always the difficult thing. It's the same thing with drummers. Like, how do you know when to play with sticks and when to play with brushes? Or how do you know when to play loud or not, or soft? How do you know when to comp on the piano or when to lay out? It's the same thing. How do you know when to play a tritone or when not? Yes?
I mean, the only thing I can think of is hearing the records and taking from there what they are doing. Like that, I mean, oh, they're, I don't know.
Yeah, you're.
Doesn't try it.
Also,
Something like that.
I'll repeat the question, hopefully for the people at home. He says, like, you know, check out what they do on the records and learn from that, right? Basically, that's what.
Try it if it applies to the real situation.
And then see if it applies to your situation.
And if it does not, you leave it. I don't know.
If it does not, you hear them that it's that you crash. So, which is okay. You learn from your mistakes. You could try. But the definite mistake is to always play what's in front of you on the paper. That's not jazz. That's classical music or pop music. That's not jazz music. That's not what we do. That's a mistake. And to take for granted that the guy who wrote that chart is like, that chart, it was not written by God or something. Some guy just wrote it and put it in a book. And it's just, if you understand the harmonic structure and you know how to play around with it, then you improvise with harmony. And you don't need to be a bass player, anybody. You know, you need to understand the harmony and how to play with it. I want to do a little pitch. I did a video, a masterclass video exactly about this, where I explain what you can do and when, and it's like 25 minutes video, but it's not available yet. It's going to be on mymasterclass.com, which is a lot of New York musicians have a masterclass there, and it's really, I mean, it's $10 or something to watch it. But my bass players get it for free this week. Yeah. But it's unpublished yet. You cannot share it yet with everybody else. Anyway, that's all about, I mean, I basically already, what is in that masterclass is this kind of stuff. So this is just, it's just more of the same stuff. So where I use tritones, I put 2 5s in different places, and so I move the harmony to different parts. Sometimes, using bass pedals and to create a different vibe. You can really do a lot. Not as I mean, as anybody in the band, piano player, the singer, anybody can do that and play around with the harmony. But you have to know what you're doing, and you have to try it out. Just try it. Don't play what's on the paper. That's really, I can't say that enough. You know, you're going to be a boring. Nobody will. You know, you will not grow that way. You need to, in order to grow, you need to get over that. And I can really hear it when I hear people do that. And actually, it goes that far that Today I saw a video of Sarah Vaughan singing, and the bass player and the piano player, they were looking at, the piano player suddenly played a different chord, and the bass player was looking at him and smiling like, oh yeah. You see, because that's not what they rehearsed or what it's just, they communicate that way. They make it exciting that way. And it can be different the next night. Otherwise, it's pop music. If you play always the same thing, it's not, you'll see when you start doing it. But you have to understand, of course, the 2-5-1s and where it's not that difficult actually. It's like, it's like in the car. The right side has the right of way. The red light means to stop. And there's not many rules. Okay, there's a few signs that you need to know. Otherwise, you're gonna crash. But it's the same thing with jazz theory. There's a few things. I already mentioned all of them basically, like tritone subs, pedals, 2/5s, moving in different places. You can make it a little bit more difficult with Coltrane changes or something, but that's like you don't use that much. Oh, and one more thing is the slash chords. Don't get confused by slash chords. It's just same chord with a different bass note. It's not really no rocket science there. Also, what I don't understand, maybe somebody can help me, is sometimes they write like D minor 6, sometimes they write D minor 7, some people just write D minor. Why is that? Because I'll decide when I play if I play a 6 or not. Why has somebody has to write that on a paper? Anybody knows why people do that? Is that maybe that's a voicing thing for guitar players or with piano players?
I guess it depends on the tonality of the tune. I understand it to be that a minor tune is always a 6 chord as opposed to a 7.
If it's he says if it's in minor, it's supposed to be a 6 chord rather than a 7. What do you think? Oh, it defines the scale. That's a good one. Yeah.
It acts as a tonic, really, as opposed to
Yeah. But maybe it also gives that you don't want to play. You don't hear the flat 6. Maybe so. It's not Aeolian scale or something. Right?
Johann Silverstein sternly told me never to play minor 7 in a minor tune as a 1 chord.
They'll play the minor 7. Yeah.
It's always minor 6.
Well, I mean, I say like, I'll decide when to play a 6 or not. And on each situation, maybe one night, it depends on who I play with and what the tune is and what the situation is. So, okay. So maybe if there's no more questions, I'll play one more solo bass thing and then we're done for the day. If you'd like to, yeah. So I'll call that Monday at PCC. Well, I want to say that, you know, when I joined the band with Rashid Ali, great free jazz drummer, that completely changed my life. So if you have time, look up his work, because he taught me how about to the emotion of music, and forget about the theory and the chord changes and stuff. Just feel. And he taught me to do. He would just play like that sometimes for so long. He would play drum solo with all free stuff, and it was so interesting that by the time it was time for us to come back and play a tune, we forgot what tune we were playing, because he played like for 20 minutes by himself. So he was somebody who really didn't need a band, actually, because just by himself it was already so interesting, just drums. So, thank you.
after.
Write them down, maybe, so you don't forget.
Okay, okay, okay. See you.
Okay. Where's Isis?